the ground shake.
Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to another little guide that I got for you. It's been a while since I played any Artemis. I played her a couple times last night, but this is a quick little Artemis guide for Season 3. Um, with the opening of Season 3 and with a lot of new changes that have happened with a lot of items such as Golden Bow and Oboe, there are now quite a few ways you could start off and build Artemis. If you're not very familiar with Artemis, I'll just do a quick little recap of her abilities. Her passive is a crit strike chance. Think of Rage. Rage is passive. That's pretty much what her passive is. Each hit, she gains a critical strike chance of 5% with a max stacks of 3. So 15% increased crit chance helps out a lot. Her one ability is a trap that you can lay down in front of you. You can lay down to up to 3 of them. They look like this. Depending on what skin you have, they do change, of course. It does damage per tick up to 85. The root lasts for 2 seconds, and you can have a max of 3 traps. Her 2 ability increases her attack speed up to 80%, her movement speed to 20%, and it lasts for 5 seconds at max. This is very good. Artemis doesn't really have a lot of getaway, so like I've said in my other videos, it's a lot better to where if you need a getaway, I'd get sprint as an active, of course, but as you're running, pop one down in front like that. If the person's behind you, that way they stop, and if worse comes to worse, pop your 2 ability for the extra movement speed just so you can get the hell out of dodge, because that's the only way you have of getting out. Unless you have your ult ready and it's really going to help you survive, then pop the ult. I'll talk about the ult here in a minute. Her 3 ability used to be her only source of wave clear. It still is as far as abilities go. It does a barrage. It's a AoE ability. It does 280 damage of area damage, a slow up to 25%, and the slow duration lasts for 2 seconds. Now the ability is a AoE. Looks just like that. No big deal. Nothing awesome. Her ability is a Caledonian Boar. I have nicknamed it Pumbaa because I love the Lion King. It does damage up to 450, stuns enemies within the range to 1.5 seconds, and a lifetime of 6 seconds. This boar hits anybody and anything, well not anything, any god in the area, and it shoots to one god, and then if there's another god like over here within the range, it'll shoot over to him, shoot over, shoot over. So it has an initial range of this. Pretty big range for an ult. But pretty much anything within this range is going to get hit. And then wherever it lands after the first stun, it will chain out. So it's very helpful. So let's go ahead and start with the starter builds. I have this build here from Season 2 that I used to use a lot. It's still viable. It's just a lot more passive in the early game, because you're still waiting for the stacks to get online. But like I was talking about with the new changes to Oboe, Odysseus Bow gives you 40% attack speed, and its passive has been changed to where instead of just doing the 30 damage to nearby enemies with the chain lightning, it does 30 damage plus 50% of your total physical power. So that does help out a lot with clearing with a lot of the attack speed based gods, such as let me see, Rama. I used it on for a little bit, and it was actually pretty good. Seeing on how he's insanely mana hungry, this does help him with his clear. But how I've been starting with Artemis helps out a lot is getting tier 2 of Golden Bow, which is Throwing Dagger. Gives you 22 physical power, 10% critical strike chance, and all basic attacks also hit nearby enemies within a 13-foot radius of the target for 25% of the damage to gods, 50% of the damage to minions and jungle camps. So just for a quick little demonstration here. Let's go over here. Oh, well, that doesn't help out. Clear this, and then go ahead and need to wait for this other guys to pop up. Of course, like I said, your first relic you want to get. Very situational if you're laning against like an Ares, get beads. But most of the time I just go ahead and go with sprint. So as you can see, the other numbers popping up. This helps out with her clear a lot, especially with her passive. because of her passive crits early game. It makes it so much easier to clear. Use your 3 ability during when you're clearing waves. Only use your 3 ability if you can hit a god with it. That's the only reason. That's the only time I use it, because then it slows the god and does some more extra poke damage. So after you get tier 2 bow, don't finish it. Do not finish it until like last item status. Don't finish it. But you're going to get your tier 2 golden bow, and I believe like you have like 200 gold left, so get some health and mana potions. So after tier 2 golden bow, get your warrior tabi. For obvious reasons, it gives you the extra 40 power and the 18% movement speed. And then after this, you want to get some lifesteal. I normally go with Aussie, but I have seen a lot of people going for Soul Eater lately. Don't know why. I don't really think it's worth it. But I do see some people still building dev gloves, but getting a stacking item for your third item is kind of pushing it a little bit, especially for ADC. So I just find it better to go with Aussie for the 15% lifesteal, the 20% attack speed, 15 penetration, and for the passive that if you drop below 40 or 35% health, you gain an additional 25% physical lifesteal for 3 seconds. So it's pretty nice. In my opinion, it's pretty damn good. Good. So after you get Aussie, it's really up to you. I find Ichival to be a hell of a lot better this season than it was last, especially seeing on how Executioner is kind of not all that great anymore. From what I've heard from people, it's not that great anymore. I don't know why, but I do really enjoy Ichival. It gives you 30% attack speed, 10 physical penetrations, and its passive is every successful basic attack increases your physical power by 10 and reduces your target's physical power from items by 10 for 3 seconds, max of 3 stacks. So you're pretty much stealing 30 physical power from whoever you're hitting, which is really nice. This build that I put together here, I've noticed that it just burns the shit out of tanks, out of guardians, warriors. It's so nice. The game I played last night, I went like 14-5 with almost 48,000 player damage. It was pretty nice. So after Ichival, you're going to go with Quinn Size. Quinn Size gives you 40 physical power, 15% attack speed, and on basic attack hits deal physical damage equal to 4% of the target's maximum health. This only affects gods. Now this really does tie in really well with the Aussie and Ichival, mainly because of the extra penetrations and the extra power you get from Aussie and Ichival. Quinn Size just gives you that little bit of burst. So let's say they have like your pin cushioning a little a guardian with like 2,800 health. 4% of that 2,800. I'm not great with math. I'm not awesome, but that gets added on to the damage as well. You know what? I'm just really curious right now. Let me pull up the calculator. 2,800. So that's an extra 224 damage. So let's say you get like a 600 or 750 crit plus 224. Jesus Christ. Alright. So after Quinn Size, you're going to pick up Deathbringer for obvious reasons. If you get Rage on Artemis, I'm going to fight you in real life because it pisses me off. That's what her passive is for. Don't be wasting no damn slots on Rage because it's stupid. That makes no sense. Deathbringer, though, 50 physical power, 20% increased critical chance, and critical strike damage is increased by 40%. That's just obvious. Okay, her passive gives her increased crit chance. Alright, that's neat. Add on Deathbringer. Let's make her passive crits increase by 40%. Do you see what I'm saying there? Alright, don't get fucking Rage. And as your last item, it's really up to you. You can finish up Golden Bow if you want, which isn't a bad idea, because full Golden Bow gives you 35 physical power, 10% critical strike chance, 5% movement speed, and increases the damage that it does to the area. So instead of the, 25 and 50%, it's increased to 50% to 75%. So 50% of the damage to gods. This means if you're sitting there having some target practice on a god, and they decided to try to use minions as coverage. You can hit the minions, and 50% of the damage you're doing to the minions will be hit on the god. So it does help with kill securing. So it's really good. Like I said, let's go ahead and move on to the relics. But like I said, your first relic will always be situational. I normally go with sprint just because Artemis's getaway is non-existent and very hard to hit because you have to really know how to place those traps. So I normally go with sprint. Usually go with sprint and sanctuary. That's what I normally roll with because that's just what I like. It's personal preference between bees and sanctuary. I mean, if it's a very hard crowd control team you're going against, i.e. like a Kumba or Ares, Kumba, Kabrakan, Hun Bats, you get what I'm saying. You just better judgment. You use common sense on your second relic. A lot of the times during team fights, if I see the big AoE ult's about to be dropped, I do pop mine because your ult does give you the CC immunity and will stun everybody else after their CC immunity is done. So it kind of does counteract it. That's why I go with Sanctuary, because I normally just save my ult for the team fights because most of the time you can just gun down anybody. Because if you're built in slow with your 3 and your attack and your movement speed buff with your 2. So that's pretty much all that is. If you really want me to, I can go ahead and show you. Let's go Theory. With this build, I haven't tried it yet, but we're going to see if I can solo Gold Fury. Yeah, see, look at those. Look at that. Did you just see that? You get like 5-shot Gold Fury. And just to show you with the Golden Bow added on. Don't know if you saw those, but I'll probably edit it in the video to where they pop up a little more. But the Golden Bow was doing like 400 damage to the minions. And I wasn't even hitting them. Or to the camp anyways. So we'll go ahead and go over here. Once again, with a full build online, I'll show you how good the clear is. Even though clear isn't really that big of a deal when you have your full build online. But I do want to show you just kind of what I'm talking about. 172, 448, 459. Golden Bow does proc the damage off your crits. So if you hit somebody for... So if you hit a minion wave for 750 crit, you're hitting everything around it for about 450. Which means that if there's a god trying to get away and weave through the shit, you're still hitting the god and getting poke damage on. So higher chance of securing those kills. Anyways, this is TechFan95's Guide to Artemis. I really like what they've done with the changes. Golden Bow is a really good asset for Artemis because her wave clear has always been shit. And it pissed me off. So I really highly suggest trying out this build. If you think of any other way to build her or any items that you think would work out better, I will definitely try them. Leave them in the comments below. My clan fell through. Kablooey is no longer a thing. We have moved over to a clan called Morsmessor, the Reaper of Death. The Facebook page will be in the link in the description. Go ahead and follow that. Twitch information in the description. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Love you guys. Happy hunting.
Invincible.